the challenge is in mining, if you do something unsafe, the consequences are dire.
True.
You know, what support means, it means there's mesh and there's rock bolts. And if it's not meeting those requirements, you do not go in. You know, if you have a look at the mining industry, I mean, I think they play a very big part in social upliftment in all of their communities, the investment they're making in roads and schools and all of that.
Fellow miners, welcome to the Miners Podcast, the coolest and biggest mining podcast in the world. I mean, like I said, we have to say it, we're going up. I mean, we're bringing you presidents, directors, and so on. You have to give us our flowers, man. Biggie, how are you, man?
They must give us our flowers, my brother. However, with us, centrally, we are not about acknowledgement, but we are about knowledge. We're seeking knowledge, not acknowledgement.
Exactly.
However, today we are with the president.
I mean, it's us,
The
man.
South African Institute of Mining and Metallurgical.
Yeah.
And Mabusha, you know this phenomenal organization was founded in 1894 by a group of 14 chemists and metallurgists.
That's right, 131 years old.
Yeah,
Yo,
and
good.
it was called, I saw on their history, it only changed in 1956.
That's right.
It was called back then the South African Institutes of Chemicals, Mining and Metallurgical.
That's
now
right.
it changed to Mining and Metallurgical.
Metallurgy, that's right. And then in 2006, it got changed to the Southern African, so that it included the whole of Southern Africa.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Well,
So you include the whole of Southern Africa?
Include the whole of Southern Africa, but with a global reach, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let's start here. You know, you have an interesting story. Like, I want us, Mr. President, to talk about your career. I mean, you started as a civil engineer, I mean, in mining. And, you know, one thing I love about mining is that most people think about it, it's just all about blasting and so on.
Yeah.
But tell us your story from the days of your civil engineering side.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth does a civil engineer get into
become
mining? So I never planned to get into mining. I was in standard 9, which is grade 11 in the new language.
Yes.
And I needed to get a bursary because my parents couldn't afford to send me to university. So I remember spending my December holidays writing letters looking for bursaries.
Okay.
And I took the little handbook they gave out at the university and wrote about 20 letters looking for a bursary. And Anglo-American responded. And I was like, gee, what would Anglo want with a civil engineer? And I remember I was on holiday down at the coast and I had to go for an interview.
Okay.
So I caught a Greyhound bus from Durban to Johannesburg, went into Anglo's head office there in town in my school uniform.
Okay.
Had the interview, got back on the Greyhound bus back down to the coast, and that's how. And they awarded me the bursary.
Okay.
And they sponsored my 4 years of doing civil engineering.
Yeah.
And then my commitment was to go back into Anglo to work for 2 years in their technical department at head office.
okay.
And that was the start of my mining career.
Mining called you, sir.
So yeah.
Mining called you.
So mining called me and they told me to get on a bus.
Okay.
Get on a bus to Johannesburg and paid for 4 years of civil engineering.
Yeah. And from that perspective, what do civil engineers do within the mining industry?
So what we get involved in, and I was very lucky, there was a department in Anglo called New Mining Business.
Okay.
And civil engineers get involved in building the mines.
Oh, yeah.
So all of the work that's required, all the infrastructure, all the foundations, all of the concrete works, the pipelines. So all the infrastructure and the setup of the mine, you have a multidisciplinary team of civil engineers, mechanical, electrical, control instrumentation, project management. So they build the mines. So I was very, very fortunate. It was during the day when Anglo still invested lots of billions in new mines and was able to do a couple of mines from start to finish. So as a young 23-year-old engineer, I went off to Namaqualand and spent 3 years building a mine where we got into the macro daisies. There was nothing there. And 3.5 years later left a mine that was had been commissioned and was running. And that was Namakwa Sands. which is now owned by Tronics, but that was an Anglo-American mine in 90. We built it in 93, 94, 95.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
sir.
wonderful.
You know, one of the groundbreaking things about SAIMM, it's that in 1894, no? It's
1894, yeah.
1894. That's when was the peak of the gold rush. And one of its groundbreaking stories is that they found the cyanide process.
That's right.
And they contributed a lot into what Johannesburg it is today because of their discovery. And now it comes into the tenure of your president now as the SAIMM president. With the movement that it's solidly mounted into so much contributions to the industry. And Johannesburg itself, it's a citadel of higher learning for all the mining, engineering, even the relevant disciplines. All the universities that are offering mining, engineering are in Gauteng.
That's right.
Specifically, where there was the discovery of SAIMM and the discovery of gold and everything, the cyanide process. So I want to know, sir, one of the objectives of SAIMM is to interchange the knowledge and, make mining and metallurgists, professionals to work in ethical conduct and the competencies. What are the investment into the younger generations now? I want to start it there, then we'll gradually go into the level of industry. What is it that SAIMM is doing for students?
So you'll see that if you had a look at what I've been involved in the last sort of 7 weeks, very much focusing on our students and our young professionals, because the future of our future leaders are our young graduates and our students currently. So I've been around to all the universities. Our students can join the SAIMM for free, and we engage with those students through our Young Professionals Council. So we've got a very active Young Professionals Council currently that is chaired by a incredible lady named Connie Jajara.
Okay.
And she's an industrial engineer. So I think the point I want to also make is the SAIMM is not only for mining and metallurgy.
Yes.
We're actually the home of the professionals in the mining industry across all disciplines. I mean, you've got a civil engineer here who's the president. So all the disciplines required in mining, environmental, electrical, civil, mechanical, mechatronics. I mean, the future mine's going to need mechatronics engineers, all systems thinking people. All of that, those people are our target as the SAIMM, as the home for the professional development of those individuals. And a big focus is our students. My drive is to basically get to over 1,000 students by the end of next year as members of SAIMM.
Okay, that's wonderful. And then I saw something interesting that you guys are doing for the industry. I mean, you just recently come from the awards of what is it called, MindSafe.
MindSafe.
Yeah. What's the idea behind that? I mean, I think there's a lot of people. A lot of people are interested in knowing what is the idea behind that.
Yeah, so MindSafe has been going now for a number of years. It's a collaboration between all of the different institutes. So AMSA is part of that collaboration. You interviewed Swele, the president, I think 2 months ago.
Yes.
So it's a collaboration between a number of institutes, and it's really to celebrate the successes in the industry with regards to safety, environment, and health.
Yes.
So we had over 1,000 delegates there on Friday, and we hand out over 50 awards across a multitude of categories for health, safety, environment, improvements in safety, improvements in health. So it's incredible rewards, well supported by the industry, and it's recognized as one of the top safety awards functions in the global mining calendar, in South African mining calendar.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, President, I think it's actually also important that you actually tell us you mentioned part of it's the history of SAIMM, right? But I think it's also important that you, as the president, you tell us, because I mean, in our tradition, you have to also introduce yourself. I think we already touched a lot, but you didn't formally introduce yourself to our audience. Can you please just do that? I mean, for us.
So guys, really privileged to be sitting with you here. Really, really excited. I've been looking at some of your podcasts. I'm really impressed with what you guys are doing. And
thank you.
And sharing in the beginning that conversation around how TikTok is such a powerful platform. And accessing those young professionals. So my name is Gary Lane, civil engineer. And in mining, because of the bursary from Anglo, like I mentioned, spent 10 years at Anglo American, building mines all around Africa. So I was in Namaqualand. I went and spent 2 years building a mine in Mali, a gold mine. Went into Botswana and was involved in some of the diamond projects. Then went down to Kimberley. So I had some really incredible projects involved in. And then when I was in my undergrad, I always set a target that I was going to do my MBA after I'd been working 10 years. So in the 10th year, I went and did an MBA. I did an MBA through Bond University in Australia.
Okay, nice.
And then I kind of rubbed shoulders with other people that are not engineers, directors of banks and in finance and consultants, and came back to Anglo and said, wait a minute, I can actually do other stuff as well. I don't want to just be considered an engineer.
Exactly.
And Anglo-American, didn't really know what to do with me. In those days, the guidance they gave me was, well, you have to go and get your blasting ticket, get your mine overseers and become a GM of a mine if you want to be getting to the executive of Anglo. So I actually left, and I've then since then really been in entrepreneurial a social entrepreneur. So I did my first startup business in technology and mine optimization.
Okay.
Spent 15 years building up that company to about 300 people.
Wow.
And then decided to leave and started again.
Okay.
And this time I decided that, I would focus on the piece that I felt was missing. And that is we built incredible technology. I tried to build a new mine planning solution. We did the most amazing optimization solutions, but often we never generated value.
Yes.
And I wanted to make sure we generated value. And the piece that I found was missing was the people side.
Yes.
So I've partnered with a guy from Australia who very much focuses on people. His name's Harry Cinco. And our focus now is people.
Okay.
Because it's all about people.
I mean
the technology is enabler.
Yes.
Sir, now I have a lot going on my mind, but it's fine. Let me retain a composure. During the inceptions of your career with Anglo, it was also the time whereby sinking of the shafts was the thing throughout the continent and the globe where they have mines. But currently, instead of it's vice versa. We're seeing mine closure instead of a lot of shafts being actually sank. What might be the challenges, and what might be also the mitigation plan to also resuscitate mining to be sustainable again? Because now I think we are on the edge. A lot of mining companies are withdrawing, investment is going, and one of the challenges into the investments is global competitiveness with inclusion of technology and bringing actually people intervened as value in and technology aligned parallel. So I want to know, what are the challenges?
So, it's a really good question. If you think about it, we only one region or country in a global mining industry. And we're competing for capital. And when an investor has a look at where to invest the capital, we're competing against all the other countries. South Africa, unfortunately, if you have a look at our amount of money we're spending on exploration, 2007, I think we spent over 4 billion rand on exploration. This 2024, I think it was 720 million, 0.01% of GDP. Australia spent 0.5% of GDP. So we have underexplore. That's the first problem. And then there's uncertainty around our policies and mining legislation, which doesn't make it attractive to foreign direct investment, because you invest in a shaft, you're probably looking at 15 years of capital investment before you even start seeing any money come or profit, not even having paid back the capital yet. So you're looking at a 30-year investment profile, you've got the investors are looking at risk, they're looking at return, and they're looking at other countries that may be more competitive to South Africa. So really, we are competing on a global stage, and we've got to make sure that our legislation, our policies are attractive to foreign direct investment and to our, I mean, Anglo-American is going to be merging with tech. The head office is moving to Vancouver. That was a South African bred company.
True. I mean, it's us.
But they're not going to have any South African assets other really than Kumba going forward. Platinum is now being listed separately. De Beers is being unbundled. We've got to have a hard look at ourselves and how do we attract investment.
Yes. So do you guys work with do you guys actually focus on the research side, or you actually also work on policy influence? Because do you work in hand with the Mineral Council, or do you have any form of partnerships?
No, so we don't work directly with the Minerals Council. I mean, we are the independent institute that looks after the interests of our members, who are the professionals in the mining industry. So it's all about the professional development and support of our professionals.
Yes.
So if you look at it, it's really professional excellence. There's a couple of things we do around that. Leadership of knowledge or technical leadership. Together with continued career development, and we can talk a bit about that during the podcast, and then also sort of a broad networking between industry, academia, and our professionals in the industry. That's really the core of what SAIMM is about. And then to do that, there's a whole bunch of underlying activities that we do, and we can unpack some of that as we go.
Okay.
Another good practice in mining currently, it's optimized by intervening technology into the system. And as a result comes with innovation. How we going to innovate? So with me, I see innovation as when, relevant, extensive experience meets knowledge. Then what sprouts out of that? It's innovation. So one of the things that we need to do is how are we going with the setup of SAIMM, making sure the two converges very compatible in order to innovate and make mining sustainable again.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a really, really good point. I mean, what we're really looking at, and this is where if you have a look at even like the Mandela Mining Precinct, where you've got a public-private partnership, they driving innovation and innovation to improve and commercialize new technology, processes, methodologies for mining. So the SAIMM partners with all of the different people in the industry. So MQA, Mandela Mining Precinct, the mining industry corporate partners. So we look at trying to collaborate between those and drive ideas into innovation and to commercial success to benefit the whole industry.
Okay. So now, with SAIMM, right, working with a lot of professionals, right? How do we ensure that now? Because I think I was in an AMSA meeting somewhere there, and then they said that the industry is lacking a lot of technical papers. Is that true, or is something that SAIMM is actually trying to advocate for?
Yes, I actually heard that comment on one of your podcasts, and I had that conversation actually with the AMSA president. Generally, we as SAIMM we've got an extensive technical program.
Yes.
We've also got a journal, a worldwide recognized journal with refereed papers. So we generally don't have a problem to attract papers and to attract abstracts for conferences.
Yes.
What you do find though is probably have more metallurgy papers than mining. And I think we need to focus a lot more on getting our young professionals and our mining professionals to write papers. They do not have to be academic.
Yes.
They can be practical, industry relevant papers that you want to share that knowledge with the broader industry. So my advice when I go to the universities is start writing papers to the students. Get your lecturers to co-author. Stand up and present at conferences and learn and get experience and gain confidence. But generally we just had the PGM, I think it was the 7th International PGM Conference. I think it was the 7th. Now in Sun City in October. And we had basically 4 different parallel sessions because we probably had over 60 or 70 submissions. So I mean, there's some incredible thought leadership in this country. We've got some incredible research work done in our universities as well. And I appeal to all of our young professionals to write papers.
I mean, they must, man.
And practice.
They must.
And practice, get them refereed, get the feedback, learn, and get better and better at it.
So those papers should be on experience-based papers.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you've done a project that you believe that there's knowledge that you could write up into a paper and share it, and then go and put a presentation together and try and, articulate your value proposition and practice that.
Sir, when I asked the question, Mr. President, that innovation needs to converge with, not innovation. For us to get innovation, it's when relevant experience meets knowledge, and scientifically accurate knowledge meets experience on the ground. Now innovation sprouts. But we really need the opportunities and the platforms which will expose young professionals into such spaces. For instance, one of the challenges that we have now, or most students have, it's vocational work. It's a very simple issue that can be dealt with. Bring 100 students now, UP, VETS, UNISA, and UJ to come do their practical, so that they can have a strong backbone on how to write those papers. It's one of the challenges. I don't know how we can resolve the issue, or it needs to get maybe into a legislature to be a must now that every mine must take 200 students.
I would very much support that. I mean, what's interesting is when I presented now to the students, the mining engineering students, I mean, these guys, they are excited, they're keen for the industry. They don't know what they can expect. And I asked them, please put up your hands, those that had vacation work.
Yes.
I reckon not even 20%. So there are 80% of our students in 3rd and 4th year who haven't got vacation work. Okay, now that's crazy. Eh? So I'm gonna appeal to the executives in the mining industry. And that's, I'm looking at the camera.
Yes.
Please,
to say, there must be a way that we can take in students. We don't have to pay for them. Maybe we just have to pay transport costs. But we need to somehow get them in. Some of them had never been down a mine. We need to get them into the mining industry to do some vac work. I remember my vac work. I spent 5 weeks on the top of we slid a rock silo at Vol Reef's 9 shaft, and I remember doing night shift for 3 weeks, sliding the rock silo. Our students will do anything. Just get experience, get exposure to mining. So it's actually crazy that we have that challenge. That they don't have vac work.
It is.
And that's where I think SAIMM can play an advocacy role. We've got all the professionals, we've got a link into the industry, and we link into academia. So, we can advocate for that, and that's what I'm going to be doing as part of my presidency is to try and make sure our students are getting into SAIMM and getting the experience they need. We need to be, there's a new requirement from EXA, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, Engineering Council South Africa. All these disciplines or vocations like doctors, accountants, auditors, health practitioners, all have professional bodies that look after the ethics and competence of those professions. Engineering needs the same. So there's new legislation that has been gazetted, which is called the Identification of Engineering Work. Basically, it's saying if there's certain work that's been scoped that has to be undertaken by a registered engineer. Different levels depending on the education, but you've got professional engineers, professional technicians, professional technologists. And depending on the work being undertaken on a mine, you have to be registered. So one of the messages I'm giving our young students and young professionals is you've got to get your competencies across the 11 requirements of EXA registration. Probably do it in about 4 or 5 years, and then get registered as a professional engineer, because it is going to become a requirement to be registered.
Okay.
Mining
okay.
industry has not got a high level of professional engineering
it
registration.
It doesn't.
And we're going to have to focus on the development of our professional capability in the industry.
And on based on that, at the podcast, we were actually speaking with EXA to actually come here and explain how their membership or joining them works. And I think you have put it very well nicely. I don't know, you wanted to ask something before I disturbed you?
No, my question now, but still on education. So I saw you going on membership.
Yeah.
But I think we can touch on membership after. Because one of the things about education, so again, is a follow-up question, is that good education is the education that defines our problems. And if we're going to have the education that defines our problems, that means it will start with the umbrella, which is the curriculum. So do you think, sir, between the industry and the institutions that offers these disciplines and qualifications are offering raw relevant curriculum that we need to solve? I mean, South African mining industry problems or the dilemmas are specific to South Africa. Other mining countries, they have different challenges. I mean, when you go to the Congolese, they'll tell you about exploitation. As we are not exploited, you understand, we have different problems than them. So is our education system more aligned with the challenges that we have as the mining industry of Southern Africa?
Look, I think that, we don't know what the future needs of the industry going to be. They're going to change. We're probably going to need a lot more skills, softer skills, mechatronics, multidisciplinary engineers that are not maybe very specialist, systems thinking skills because of the way the future mine may look. And as you can imagine, now with AI, there's a whole nother level of skills. The ability for our universities to adapt fast enough is very difficult. So there's always going to be this gap between sort of your undergrad, postgrad versus industry needs. It is recognized. I think people are aware of it. In the old days when you graduated, there were these formal graduate training programs in these mining houses. Those don't exist anymore. Some mining houses still have that, but generally it doesn't exist. So there's a gap. That's where SAIMM can play a role in terms of some of the short courses we offer, the technical program, to basically accelerate the skills development from undergrad to real industry need, and also the mentoring that a Young Professionals Council gives. We have a really good formal mentoring program. It looks at bridging the gap between leaving varsity, not having a clue of what work is about, and transitioning into what work is actually. And I think you get a fright in that first year about what it's actually about.
It's in my mind. I'm asking questions that I've read the articles of SAIMM about, and he's nailing on top of
he's dealing with
so I'm reading your mind.
You're dealing with him. You're dealing with him.
No, thank
So
you.
I'll ask you some questions now.
I know. Now I'm fine. I'll come back.
So, Mr. President, our industry, when it comes to safety, is actually facing a lot of difficulties, right? I mean, especially the hard rock side. I mean, the underground side. It's very, very bad. What role does SAIMM play when it comes to safety in mining? I mean, do you think that zero harm is achievable? Number one. And as SAIMM, what are the proposed things that you can propose? That how do we go about that?
Okay, so I do believe zero harm is achievable. We've got a long way to go still. I mean, it's a good question because I did sit through the whole of MindSafe last week, so I've got stats in my head, I've got numbers, I can quote some important things. But if you look at the trend, even over the last 10 years, you need significant improvement in safety. We had an August with no fatalities in the mining industry. Now, we don't want any fatalities, but we had no fatalities. Look, unfortunately, year to date, we've had 39 fatalities in the industry, which is not good. We don't want any fatalities. And SAIMM advocates for zero harm, and MindSafe and other technical programs that we offer and webinars focus on industry relevant topics. And the fact that we had the MindSafe Awards, and it's a collaboration between a whole bunch of different institutes, and AMSA talks to the importance of safety and how we can help the industry raise it to number one priority and drive towards zero harm.
Exactly.
You know, so but I do believe we can get to zero harm.
It's
I mean, it's a mindset, it's behavioral, it's a cultural thing. We've got to build it into the culture of how we operate. Look, and I've worked a lot around a lot of different industries globally. And I must tell you, I'm quite surprised by what I see in other industries with regards to they haven't got good safety practices. But what's interesting, the challenge is in mining, if you do something unsafe, the consequences are dire.
True.
In a factory, in a manufacturing facility, unsafe behavior probably will end up in a lost time injury, but maybe not a fatality. So they can get away with more.
Exactly.
But we actually lead the way in terms of how we drive safety in the industry. It's just it is a dangerous industry, and mistakes.
So are you saying that our mine health and safety is the best in the world? I mean, the law.
Look, I actually don't know enough. I actually don't know. Look, we have the deepest mines in the world. We have some of the most complex ore bodies to mine. We're looking at hard rock mining. It's very labor intensive. It's very hard to compare ourselves to an Australian operation, which is trackless mining. You know, very, very different.
Machinery,
and you can't compare deep level hard rock mining to open cast.
True.
So we have challenges in this country, but we've come such a long way. I think it's very achievable to get to zero harm. And that's what we can strive for.
Yeah. And the whole thing, right? The whole thing, the whole topic of safety. Which one is it the leading factor when it comes to fatalities and so on? Like whether if it's your fall of ground, heat strokes and so on. Which leading factor is actually
So it's interesting. This year, the problem is you fall of ground. So this year, we've had the fatalities predominantly falls of ground. It means there's obviously TMM, machinery, but falls of ground have been the biggest issue this year for our industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to focus more on the support system so that we have current.
Yes. And, you know, it's interesting. There was an incredible presentation given by a mining engineer from Zimbabwe who compared Australian mining requirements to South Africa to Zimbabwe. And he was very clearly able to articulate the difference in support regimes between the three regions and how in Australia, you know, what support means, it means there's mesh and there's rock bolts, and if it's not meeting those requirements, you do not go in.
Okay.
In South Africa, you know, it's not needing to be mesh everywhere. And he's saying, wait a minute, is that fully supported? And then in Zimbabwe, it's even worse. So there's an element of if it doesn't meet the support requirements, you do not go in. You know, the fatalities generally you'll find when falls of ground is there's probably been something where there was unsupported ground up to the face, and there was an area that was unsupported, and somebody went in there. So there's an element of behavioral, and there's an element of, you know, what is the standard for support.
Okay. So again, just to get off the one of safety, the social and the economic responsibilities of all mining companies. Do you think how will mining balance its social commitment and also environmental commitment and also be profitable at the same time? How can one balance the two? Because I go around a lot of mining towns and you check what does SLP says and what do we see in reality. There's nothing with social responsibility, and environmental it's even worse. But I'm not blaming directly the mining companies and also people. How can we balance the whole setup of them?
So it's a good question to be said. You know, ESG is trying to drive that, you know, with the environmental, social governance frameworks. You know, if you have a look at the mining industry, I mean, I think they play a very big part in social upliftment in all of their communities, the investment they're making in roads and schools and all of that are probably taking on more responsibility than they should because of the shortcomings within the municipalities and government delivery. But I think there's always more that can be done. I mean, the ESG legislation now drives, the requirements of environmental with strict and penalties, the social and the governance and safety. So I think the industry can always improve, but they've come a long way in driving that in upliftment. If you look at just the Rustenburg area and you look at the amount of money that's coming out of those Rustenburg mines, it goes into that local economy. I think, I saw a figure, there's probably 15 billion rand in terms of preferential procurement and salaries that go into that whole area. I think what we've got to watch is as the platinum mines start to come to end of life, how are we going to transition from a mining-based economy in that area to a different economy? Because that's where you'll find probably a direct correlation between level of poverty and crime.
True.
So, as we start curtailing mining operations and we start having to look at alternative jobs, we've got to watch that carefully as we transition out of mining in that area.
Yes. And speaking on this environmental question, right? Our country, I see. I don't know if you'll be political or what, but our country is getting a lot of pressure from, I think, Europe, so that we can go green. Do you think that wouldn't affect our coal industry from your side in terms of? Look, I don't want you to fight with the environmental people and then
so
the business side.
I can give you a personal opinion, but not an SAIMM opinion. And that's where the just energy transition is trying to make sure that the developed countries have been through it already. We're still developing. So we have a big reliance on coal. Now we can't go, we're going to shut off coal because it's dirty and put in solar or wind.
True.
And that's where, based on what level of development we're in, there's an argument to say, we'll have base load from coal for still the next 10 years. It's the cheapest form of power for us.
Yes.
And we've got to look at the just transition between coal, impact on social because of the amount of jobs in coal, and moving into other industries, green energy. And we've got to look at that as a proper plan, because how do we transition jobs in coal into jobs in other industries? In solar and in wind generation, and maybe into other energy opportunities. Fuel cells, batteries.
No, I saw an article on LinkedIn where Minar, it was researching on green coal. Clean coal. It's also one of the things that it can be embarked on. More research, into the clean coal. So without other renewable energies that can be used. However, the issue of energy to us, it's still a challenging one, because we have slackened and we are very behind in terms of infrastructural development. We can take, for instance, what happened with the Quebec project of nuclear sciences. But, we shouldn't beat ourselves for that. We are getting there as the country. We will get there.
Look, we're not the only country battling with energy. I mean, all the countries, you've seen some other countries also battling a little bit, demand outstrips supply of power. Look, it's had quite a negative impact on our industry. The chrome smelters that have been shutting down in the last year, very much due to the power costs have really made us uncompetitive. And we've had a whole lot of chrome smelters shutting down, and now China is taking chrome ore in place of the ferrochrome that we were previously smelting. So unfortunately, load shedding and the price of electricity has had an impact, even on our platinum, even on our PGM industry. Unfortunately,
I think you read our minds, because my actual question that was coming was that beside legislation or policy problems, what are other factors that are actually affecting our industry? You understand, as you mentioned, like we had a lot of load shedding during that time. took a hit on our industry. And then also we had a problem like we had a problem of COVID, you understand, that actually affected the industry in terms of production and so on. But looking from your side, right, what are other hindering things towards our industry, and where do you see us to actually what do you think we can do to actually improve that? I mean, is there shortage of skills and so on in the mining industry in South Africa?
Okay, really, really good question. There was a critical minerals strategy document prepared and I think it was presented to Parliament in May of this year, which outlines sort of 6 main pillars. And it's actually a good document to read because those 6 pillars talk to exactly your point. So basically, it's the critical minerals strategy document. Now, Australia, the US has actually got similar documents because it's actually almost a fight at the moment around critical minerals globally, especially what's happening now with China and the US. South Africa's got critical minerals as well and rare earths. So there's 6 pillars. I'm going to see if I can remember them offhand. But basically, the 6 pillars are: we've got to really drive exploration. So that's the 1 pillar. We've got to really look at R&D and skills development. So what it's saying is R&D in fuel cells, downstream uses of platinum, and upskilling our people around those new skills. So that's the second one. The third one is really driving local downstream processing. So we're not just exporting raw material, raw ore, what we're actually processing. And that drives into fuel cells and other downstream activities. We've also got to look at our mining legislation so that we become attractive to investment, because we need big investment for mines. What we've also got to look at is, so we've spoken about exploration, we've spoken about skills and R&D, we've spoken downstream, we've spoken about legislation. We've got to come up with some financial regime that can basically help the critical minerals that are reliant on power with maybe different pricing regimes. So for example, chrome. Our chrome industry shouldn't be shutting down if we had come up with the right strategy around how do we protect our chrome industry, right? So there's some really key pillars in that supports our critical mineral strategy. Our critical minerals in South Africa really driven by the fact that I think 3 major minerals are predominantly found in South Africa. Platinum, over 80%, manganese, I think over 70%, and chrome, also over 70%. So those are the 3 main. Then we've got iron ore and coal, are identified as our critical minerals in South Africa. And that report is worthwhile for anyone who's interested to actually have a read through.
So how's SAIMM standing with the government? I mean, does it stand independently as one of the stakeholders which are consulted during policy development and regulations? And what are the people that you also consult so that when you develop the policy and regulations with the company, you make sure every stone is left unturned? And again, on that one, what are the policies that you think they can open more doors of investment for our sector in South Africa, the mining sector?
So the SAIMM, unlike the Minerals Council, the SAIMM is actually an independent body for professionals. So we look after the industry of the interests of our members as professionals, and will advocate for the interests of our members and we're seen as independent, but we will collaborate very broadly with whoever we need to collaborate with. So we will talk to the DMPR, to the Minerals Council, to whoever's required to advocate for the interests of that professional career in the mining industry. What was the second part of your question?
The question was the policies that can be taken to open investment.
Yeah, so I think, what investors need is surety of the rules of the game.
Yeah.
That's all they really need, because then they can make their decisions based on what the regulation regime looks like. Now, if you're not competitive, you are going to end up not getting the investment. That's the reality. Okay? So you want to be competitive. So you've got to make sure that the rules of mining, in terms of mining licenses, license to mine, taxes, royalties, are all competitive globally. and they don't change.
Yes.
And then you'll get the foreign direct investment coming. We need foreign direct investment.
we do.
I mean, the mining industry is always going to be needed. There's not, I mean, name for me one industry that doesn't need mining.
Yeah.
There's not.
That's not.
If it's not grown, it's mine.
It's. I mean, the manufacturing industry needs mining for all of their equipment, the machinery, the chemicals, the agriculture industry. I mean, potash for fertilizers, zinc for fertilizer, all come out of mining, all the equipment. So in your cell phone, I think there's about 23 minerals.
Yeah.
And I think 13 of them are available in South Africa. So the whole future and the whole green energy, the hydrogen economy, agriculture, everything is dependent on mining. And I think if we get things right, we have a really, really positive. I mean, think about having some of the biggest resources of platinum, chrome, and manganese in the world are in Southern Africa. I mean, you know, if we come up with a really good strategy around that as a country, we can build an incredible downstream capability. You know, fuel cells, hydrogen economy.
You know, President, you mentioned that SAIMM actually advocates for professionals, especially your members, right? Not that you're a union or so on, but do you think that South African professionals, whether geologists, engineers, and what, they are actually paid enough? And then throughout the world, coming from South Africa as a professional, in your experience, going outside the world, do you think that our qualifications and so on are given much credit, or they're actually recognized?
Okay, so that's a simple answer, actually. If you go all around the world to mines all around the world, and I've been very fortunate. I've been all over the world in different regions to mines, and there are South Africans in managerial positions in mining companies all around the world, in GM roles. If you look at some of the CEOs of some of the major mining houses, I mean, we've now got Natasha Fulun is heading up a major mining company. We have South Africans all around the world. We're known for our technical capability. We innovated in mining. We are the deepest mines in the world. So
we're the champions.
Highly sought after technical skills. We're known for working hard, and we sought after. Interestingly, around the world, mining engineering graduates are declining. People don't want to go into mining. We don't have that problem in this country. In fact, we are going to have too many mining graduates. So we could, as a country, could even look at us being the center or the hub of generating mining skills for global demand.
Correct.
And then when it comes to the money side, are we actually getting fair enough as professionals?
You know, our professionals, I think our professionals in the mining industry are paid well. Look, if you compare it to international salaries in dollars, but yes, you're going to get paid more when you're looking at in dollars and pounds and Australian dollars. But our South African professionals are paid very, very well. You know, and look, as SAIMM, we don't advocate for salaries. We're a professional competence capability building institute. So we're not a union. We're not organized labor. But so we will look after the interests of the members. I mean, the big drive at the moment is that whole registration with EXA, the continuing professional development, and we have a whole bunch of programs to support that.
President. Okay, of technicality and everything. You one of the objectives is professional